So I guess it would be that even if we make mistakes, if we do follow our hearts and we find ourselves in a mess of our own making, the Lord really does work all things out for our good. And you'll see this played out in Juliet and the hero's story in the Indigo Heiress.
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to Writer's Day podcast. My name is Ruth Douthit, and I'm an award-winning multi-published author, and I started this podcast for you, people who want to learn more about the writing craft and listen to best-selling, award-winning authors talk about their new books and their writing processes, because that's how we learn, and that's how we stay inspired to keep writing. So welcome. And if you like what you hear today, please consider subscribing and following me and posting a review. I'd love to know what you think about a Writer's Day podcast. And today you're in for a treat. We're going to be listening to two-time Christie Award-winning author Laura Frantz talk about her new book. But first, head over to my website at artbyruth.com and sign up for my newsletter so you can learn more about my upcoming projects, like the release of The Secrets of Worthington Orphanage. This spooky ghost story is a prequel to my children's series. So if you read The Children Under the Ice, The Children in the Garden, and The Children of Manor House, you are well aware about Worthington Orphanage. And so this prequel will catch you up to speed as to why it is and how come it's haunted, and how it connects to the protagonist of my children's series, little Mikey Thompson. So head over to my website, sign up for my newsletter so you could be first to learn about when that book releases and all my upcoming projects, including another coloring book, the sequel to Fatal Chapters, and more. So head over to artbyruth.com today. Laura Frantz is the two-time Christie Award winner, best-selling author of 16 novels now. Wow. And I am just so honored to have her on my podcast again today to talk about her new book, The Indigo Heiress. She always goes into detail with her research, and it's always fascinating to hear her talk about these stories. So you know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, kick back and relax as we listen to Laura talk about her new book. Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy New Year. I am so excited to have my friend Laura Frantz here with me again to talk about her new book, The Indigo Heiress. Welcome back, Laura.
Oh, happy to return and talk books to you. One of my favorite things.
Oh, good. Happy New Year. Yeah. Why don't you catch us up as to what you've been up to, and then we'll talk about your lovely book.
Well, it's release month for me and Indigo Heiress. It's novel 16. So what readers usually don't know is that we're way ahead of you. When one book comes out, we're usually 2 or 3 books beyond that. Mm-hmm. So I always tease and tell hosts, don't ask me too difficult a question because I might not be able to answer it because I've moved on from the book. But we do want to talk about the Indigo Heiress. It is front and center this month. And it's basically, to sum it up, a colonial American indigo heiress meets her nemesis and a Scots merchant who saves her from scandal, only to have her save his very life in turn. So it was a joy to write this book. Like I said, I think we're up to novel 16. And, you know, when you think about a book, it's truly, imagination is such a remarkable thing. A book is a world, a whole world in a few pages. And we're able to, you know, through God's gift, enter that world and entertain and inspire readers, hopefully, if you write Christian fiction, and then move on to the next world. So it's wonderful to talk about the Indigo Heiress because I loved it. I loved writing it, and I actually miss it now that I have moved to other books. I can't say that about every one of them, but I have missed the Indigo Heiress.
Because you visited Glasgow, England, or Scotland, didn't you?
I did. I love Glasgow, and I wish I could pronounce it like a Scot because they say very differently than my semi-southern twang here. It's just such a fascinating area, fascinating dialect. fascinating people and culture, very different than Edinburgh and the rest of Scotland. So I try to bring that Glaswegian flavor into the Indigo Heiress and give readers a little armchair travel without having to pack a bag.
Hmm.
So I
Well,
say,
thank you, because
yeah,
I don't know if I'll ever get out there.
I know it's pretty nice when you can travel without a passport and luggage and all that trailing behind you. Books really do take us to amazing places.
And I think readers really like that. It's escapism for us, but I think also there are certain areas, parts of the world that we just may not get to. And so this affords us that chance.
Exactly. And what a blessing that is.
So, what is a colonial American indigo heiress?
Oh, good question. Well, when I first, a lot of my heroines and novels start with research, and facts are really more entertaining or than fiction a lot of the time. So I've always been fascinated by the indigo process. And if you're wearing blue jeans and they're dyed that beautiful indigo blue, but our process today, indigo production, is very different than it was, in my heroine's 18th century. And the real woman behind the indigo production in the 18th century was Eliza Lucas Pinckney. She was a young woman. I think she was about 16 when she took over several plantations from her father. She was helping run them, management them, and she had a real talent for it. And she basically put colonial American indigo production on the map. She was selling some of her indigo to Europe, high price, very very popular commodity, it took a lot of manual labor, a lot of slave labor to produce indigo. A very laborious process, very high quality product in the end, very hard to grow. So I put that piece together with, my Eliza Pinckney piece with my fascination for indigo and my love of the 18th century and my love of Scotland
Mhm.
and my fascination with Glasgow and the merchants there, and just created this book. So I hope that it comes alive for readers like it did for me.
Mm. So, when you create your female characters, are you ever inspired by some of the women in your family's history?
My own family history, I have a French ancestress who came into Kentucky in the very dangerous 18th century with her husband, and they settled in Jackson County, which is a very mountainous part of Kentucky, very dangerous, as I said. And
Mm.
she was French, he was not. And that's all we have. We have her in our family tree. We don't know how they met. We don't know how a French woman met an Englishman or a Scotsman and
Mm.
landed in America. Then they decided to leave Virginia and go into Kentucky. So that inspired actually the seamstress of Katie, my
Ah,
previous book, because of the French ancestry I have. But I have much Scottish ancestry. So I guess you would say the Indigo Heiress was inspired by my Scots ancestry, the gift that keeps
that's
on
neat.
giving. Yeah, well, so many of my readers have Scottish ancestry, and I think there's just a real fascination with ancestry, and I am amazed by people that don't delve into that. I guess it's just almost like a hobby. I hate to say a hobby because it seems so personal and real to me.
Hmm.
A lot of we Americans are mutts. My husband and I were discussing this yesterday. We
Hmm.
don't have pure bloodlines. We draw from a lot of different countries usually. But when you go to Scotland and England, some of them are 90 some percent Scots or English, and it's truly remarkable. So,
Yeah.
you think about that. So I think about that as I'm writing, and that inspires me to tell stories too.
I think that's neat because I often wonder what it was like for the women back then, what they endured, what they went through,
Yes.
the amount of courage to keep going. They had
Right.
so many things going against them, and yet they persevered, and we're here because of that.
Exactly. I mean, we owe our very existence to that.
Hmm.
And they weren't, human nature never changes, but times do. But our basic human nature, I think we can really relate to characters back then, our forefathers and foremothers, because they had the same emotions, a lot of the, different experiences, but they were happy and sad and joyful and challenged like we are today. So we have that common human thread there. And like you said, they persevered and endured, and we just don't know all that they did.
Hmm. And one of the things that was common back then was the arranged marriage. What made you want to put that as part of your story in this story?
Well, it was a very common, as you alluded to, very much a part of the 18th century cultural fabric. And I've often thought it's sad that women had so few rights. And it was very much a male-dominated culture. And in this book, in the Indigo Heiress, our Juliet Catesby, our heroine, is under the thumb of her father. She has a loving relationship with her father. He's actually somewhat of a weak man because he turns over basically his plantations for her to run. She's quite capable, but what a burden that would be on a young
Mm.
woman.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of debt in the picture. And so, in this particular case, in this novel, as an echo of the society then, if you were in debt or marriageable and even not in debt, you were on the market to make a match that was advantageous in many respects, mostly monetarily. So that would benefit, your name, your financial status. It was all about that back then. There was not the concept of marrying for love. It did happen, but I don't think it didn't happen as often as we think it did back then.
Yeah, the
It was a
dowry and all that was
contract.
involved. Yeah,
Right.
contract. The
Right.
father of the bride wanted to know what he was going to get out of it.
Exactly. I mean, his daughter was a pawn,
Yeah,
basically. She
that's
was
right.
being used in this game that we don't understand today because thankfully we have many rights.
Hmm.
And I used to think I was born in the wrong time period, that I wanted to, I wish I had lived in the 18th century, but the honest truth is I would not have survived. And
Yeah.
I would I would probably have died early as a child just for infant mortality. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to live back then. The more I learn about the 18th century,
Hmm.
the less I think I was born in the wrong century. I'm very grateful to live today.
Yes, exactly. And to write these stories about back then. So you educate your readers about it. And I think it helps us to not take for granted all the rights that we have, the privileges that we have. And
Yes,
I think if we did have purebloods here in America, then we would have a royalty family, like they do in Great
exactly.
Britain. And we wouldn't want that. Who wants that?
No, George Washington would love you. He absolutely shot that down, tried
Hmm.
to make him a colonial king, so to speak.
Yeah. So
And
I'm glad we don't have that.
yes, and I think the Lord prevented that too because he had no natural children of his own.
Hmm.
So there was no line of succession, so to speak, from George Washington.
Exactly.
And they couldn't capitalize on that. And when they tried to bedeck him with titles, he shut that down. I don't know how they arrived on president and the first lady, but that seems to have, that was in play. And in his when he became the president, she became the first lady, Martha, who is every bit as admirable as he was. I mean,
Hmm.
she was really the power behind the throne, though he refused the throne, so to speak.
Yeah, thank goodness too.
Yes, yes. So we have a very different and are the envy of the world,
We
really.
are. Yeah. Our
Um,
revolution is the envy of the world. A friend and I were just talking about the French Revolution because we saw a video online about the beheading of some of these nuns
oh, so
and
terrible.
how they exchanged one form of tyranny for another. And that really,
Exactly.
our revolution was the only one that ever truly worked and brought peace for the people.
Exactly. And we've come precariously close lately of losing that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it looks like some of those founding rights are being resurrected and preserved
Yeah, the
or adhered
people.
to. The
Yeah, the people
people,
rose up
right?
again
They
and
did.
their
And,
voices were heard. So,
right. We were not strained. And like Benjamin Franklin said, a republic if you can keep it.
hmm,
And so there's the challenge is keeping it.
exactly.
And, they're so I'm thankful to live now and see that. It's a very tumultuous time still. The world is in chaos, but God's in control and we know how it ends and it ends well.
Hmm. Now, this story, The Indigo Heiress, blends romance, history, and suspense. Ooh, how did you
Ooh.
balance all that in this story?
Oh, well, that's a good question because I'm not a suspense writer. I'm heavy. The older I get, the less interested in romance I get. Sorry, friends, but that romance element is always there. But in this novel, several readers have said there's so much going on. There's so many twists and turns. And that naturally, when you have a lot of plot points and you have a lot of twists and turns, you're going to have that suspense.
Mm,
Plus, it makes it especially exciting in a novel when you're not dealing with one static setting. I'm leaving colonial America not quite halfway through the book, I guess earlier than halfway, and going to Scotland. So I literally am crossing continents in this novel, and that keeps things flowing, and somewhat fast paced and hopefully fascinating.
wonderful. Well, so The Indigo Heiress is out in the world already. When does it release or when did it release?
It released, usually my novels release January 1st, but this year I'm enjoying a January 21st release. So it came out last week
Wonderful. Okay.
and been really busy. And I enjoy it later in January because I've always felt readers were so distracted by Christmas and the holidays and the author
Sure.
too, that I wanted readers to not have that release right during the holidays when they were doing other things.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never, I had release teams until this year, 15 release teams. Then I decided not to do that anymore.
Okay.
And one of the reasons was I just wanted readers to enjoy the holidays and not
Sure.
feel pressured into reading and reviewing. And, that it's just makes it so stressful for everybody, I think.
Well, that was thoughtful.
Well, it was nice because my publisher helped make that happen, and I'm very
Mm.
grateful.
Now, as Christian authors, of course, we want to have specific themes in our stories. So, what do you hope readers will take away from The Indigo Heiress?
But no matter your circumstances, it's just, or often our personal choices are wrong for us, I guess you would say. And, the one of the worst sayings in the world is follow your heart.
Mm,
No,
mhm,
don't do that. Biblically, that's not true. Many
mhm,
warnings about that. But often, if we're making personal choices and our heart leads us away or astray, thank thankfully God can right that and get us on a straight path as he promises in the Bible. So I guess it would be that even if we make mistakes, if we do follow our hearts and we find ourselves in a mess of our own making, the Lord really does work all things out for our good. And you'll see this played out in Juliet and the hero's story in the Indigo Heiress. And though they cross continents, though they make what seems like bad decisions, it actually is leading them toward a very redeemable end. And that's very scriptural too, that God promises to work all things out for our good.
mm.
And that's true in this story, and it's true in real life.
Yeah, that's the hope that readers are looking for. Hmm.
Yes. Hope, huge hope. And that's what makes Christian fiction a standout, edifying words that are filled with hope, that give you hope.
I love that. So, here's the big question. What are you working on next?
Well, I'm working on three things at once, and
Wow.
I wouldn't recommend that, but you probably are too. But
Yeah.
so I just turned in a novel to Ravel. It's a story set during the American Revolution, and so I'm waiting for edits to get I'm waiting to get edits back on that from my publisher. And right now I'm writing a novella. I finished the novella. I'm editing a novella uh, that will release July of this year. And then I'm working on a new story set in London in the late 18th century.
Wow.
I've been to London, but I've not had a setting there. But so this is London, and it has a little bit of a crime element that's unfamiliar to me, that I'm kind of trying to navigate that. So those are the three things I'm working on, and asking the Lord to for a lot of help, and give me time to do it, which
Yeah.
is always a challenge with so many distractions. But I don't have children in the home anymore, so that's it's empty nest has its perks. Though
Yeah.
I miss my children, but there's some perks.
There's
Yeah.
a little bit more quiet.
Oh, and a full fridge.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go.
Always, yes.
Wow, the Revolutionary War, and that you said will release in 2026, which is the United States 250th anniversary of
Yes,
independence.
it's a huge milestone. And, a lot
Perfect.
of people don't even realize it's coming, but I think it will be I think President Trump even said that he's going
Yeah,
to,
he's planning all these activities that
yeah.
start
So
this 4th of July all the way till next 4th of July.
exactly. So if you're not aware of it now, you will be next year. And
Yeah.
it's a joy to me to have a book really that's about the American Revolution and our heroes who fought for our freedoms release during that very momentous anniversary. So I'm very grateful.
Oh, that's exciting. I can hardly wait.
Yeah.
Well, so the Indigo Heiress is out in the world right now, but how can readers connect with you? Can they sign up for your newsletter?
Perfect. That's such a nice intro to that. If you go to laurafrantz.net, on my homepage, halfway down, you'll see this very easy sign up. You just pop your email in there. You'll get a subscription link back to confirm. And then you'll see where I'm active on there's these pretty little icons on my homepage on my website that tell you where I spend a lot of time, mostly Instagram and Facebook on my author page. I am on X. It's a new for me being on X. I didn't do Twitter, but now I'm on X. I'm not on Pinterest much, but I am active there. I do have boards for my books. So if you need a visual, you can go to Pinterest, the Laura Frantz author, and my website homepage will take you there. So I do love my newsletters. I curate those pretty carefully and joyfully. I enjoy doing them and share not just books, but family news and lots of different things, recipes. I usually do a giveaway to Baker Bookhouse every time. And those wonderful e-gift cards to Baker Bookhouse are a real popular thing for readers. So I welcome you to visit my site and catch up with me there.
Oh, wonderful. Well, listeners, you heard her. Go to laurafrantz.net and sign up for her newsletter to find out more about her upcoming projects. I'm so excited for you. Laura, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with us about your new book, The Indigo Heiress, your upcoming projects, and more. Thank you so much.
So appreciate you, Ruth, and thank you, readers, for listening.
Wow, wasn't that great to talk with Laura Frantz about her new book, The Indigo Heiress? She is so fascinating and easy to talk to, and her books are amazing. She does all this research. I had no idea what it took to do indigo, and so I'm fascinated by this, and also about all the projects that she works on at the same time. So I hope that you have been inspired by Laura's story and her writing process to keep going on your writing journey, one step at a time, overcoming obstacles that sometimes pop up in our way. But just remember, your readers are out there and they really want to read your next story. So keep going. And thank you for joining me on a Writer's Day podcast again. And until next time, God bless.